back to Virtual Shakeup 3.0. We've had a fabulous day and a half so far, but it is my sincere pleasure to introduce Marissa Pick, who is the founder of Marissa Pick Consulting. Hi, Marissa.
Hi, how you doing?
Well, we're really excited to have you, but I just want to remind the audience there's a poll that we'd like you to answer. Please click through to the streaming session versus the homepage, and you'll see the poll to the right. But Marissa is here to help us understand how to leverage and use social media influencers to reach untapped markets. Marissa, off to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I am so excited to be here today. We're going to talk about authority, impact, and the future of influencer marketing, specifically looking at events. And so just to give you a brief overview, Heather, thank you for having me. I got my start in event marketing, and event marketing at the time as social media was born, I started seeing incredible traction, and I gravitated towards digital marketing, and I've stayed in social media and digital marketing for 15 years. Most recently, I led a global social media and B2B marketing team at a financial nonprofit. And you can see there a couple of honors that I've gotten over the past few years. And then my most exciting thing is my two little boys, Reed and Lucas, which I like to just have in my conversations. A lot of my clients are bringing me in to do event marketing plans, specifically focused around mapping out influencers. So today we're going to talk a little bit about what is influencer marketing. And obviously the definition of influencer marketing is identifying and building relationships with individuals who have an influence over a target of audience buyers. So in today's presentation, I'm going to go through a couple of influencers that have worked, some you might know. I'm going to give you some ideas and tangible ways of reaching influencers and activating them within your events. And I'm going to just talk a little bit about some stats to kick us off and why we should care. So the idea of influencer marketing is that it's using people, brands, and places to boost brand awareness. So we all know that, authenticity is key right now, and it's ideal of what you can't get enough of. And the American dream is that we can all do whatever we want, right? So brands now have to activate methods, and specifically within COVID era and being able to be here online from Northern New Jersey and talk to people all over the world. We are breaking down barriers, which lets all of us as brands reach people that we might not necessarily normally reach, which is a great way for influencer marketing to come into play here. We know that shoppers trust recommendations from their friends. If we're looking at something or we're, strolling and maybe I tag someone, like right before this, I tag someone and, maybe they're coming to an event because they think that I know what I'm talking about. We want people that are activating and amplifying our brand in terms of influencer marketing. So why should we care about the birth of influencer marketing? Well, let's talk about TikTok. So 2020, TikTok takes off, and it's clear now that people are using apps. Clubhouse is emerging. We have TikTok, we have Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram. Everyone has their own streaming. And it started the birth of this new influencer marketing and the video. So some of these really influential influencers are producing this content that's not full-scale production. It's real, it's short. And this relatable content for us helps it kind of amplify different kind of channels. So we obviously have many different methods. We have many different ways of reaching people, but we want to kind of have that tailored message and that authenticity, which people trust. So this is just a mind-blowing stat to me that PewDiePie in 2021 is estimated to be worth $40 million. And this is what he makes per a post, a channel, and affiliate marketing. So why should we care? Yes, there's a lot of people talking about things that don't matter, but for us on the brand side that are looking at maybe bringing them into our event mix, there's definitely a lot of upside with bringing some of these influencers in. So this is really interesting. The success of influencer marketing has become evident, and it has a lot of cultural impact on the audiences, on the trends. So this is a stat from Instagram. So Instagram popularity says that any account with over 15,000 followers is classified as an influencer. So current data is showing that 39% of all Instagram accounts have over 15,000 followers. So that means there's a lot of people talking on Instagram. There's a lot of quote unquote active influencers already. So this gets in the discussion of micro versus macro. So micro is a Kim Kardashian. I'm paying Kim Kardashian on behalf of my brand to amplify a message versus a nano or a macro, which is Marissa Pick is activated. We're going to have her come in and do something with us, and she's going to leverage her thought leadership, her social channels. And I think the future and this message is on amplifying that macro level of influencers, specifically within the event industry, because that's really where you'll see the authenticity, you'll see the trends. This is one of my favorite campaigns. And for those who don't know this, this is the Ocean Spray TikTok guy, Nathan. So this is last September. Many of us saw this. His car broke down, and rather than be late for his job, he hops on his longboard and he goes to his work at a potato warehouse, and he carries his thing of ocean spray and he produces it on TikTok, and 80 million people have watched this message. Then Fleetwood from Fleetwood Mac, he plays Dreams. He drinks his, ocean spray cranberry, and he's going down the street. So it gets, all of these celebrities start doing this. And then Ocean Spray very smartly reached out to Nathan, and they delivered this truck full of products, full of information. It was a cranberry red Nissan truck, which had drinks. He launched a GoFundMe to help him fix his car with over $10,000. And then he launches merchandise. And he was actually in an Ocean Spray commercial. So this is an idea of someone who did something completely random and a brand that was following along the conversation and captivated and was there at the right time. So for those of you in marketing, if you're in brand marketing, make sure you're listening to what's happening, because there's a lot of opportunity. So does this really work for brands? So a lot of people are collaborating and working with them. And this has grown to a $5 to $10 billion industry, which is so insane to me. I think a lot of people are still figuring it out, specifically within events. And I'm going to give you a couple of case studies in a minute. But this makes it accessible. Influencer marketing makes it accessible to reach a market for you that you might not have already met before. It helps a brand achieve its goals. It helps them be authentic. And again, if we're doing it right, there really is traction here and ROI if you're doing it with measurement, which I'll talk about in a minute. So love it or hate it, it does work. A lot of influencers the marketers are saying that it's effective. It works better than other channels. It works really well, I think, in events within the mix to amplify a message. So consumers, again, for me, if I'm looking at something, I go on and I ask my friends. I might go on a private Facebook group and crowdsource something for my kids. I might Google something, but again, right there, Google searches for influencer marketing have grown 1,500% in the last 3 years. So people are here, they're looking, they're trying to figure out how to activate this within their brand. And again, 92% of consumers are turning to people they know for references among any other source. So people trust people. And with barriers broken down, this is a time for you to dive into influencer marketing because it is cost efficient and it really helps kind of grow your brand as well as bring in customers. So there are 4 basic rules of influencer marketing. Popularity does not equal influence. It does not matter if you have 18 million fans or if you have 150. If you have 150 fans for, the right audience, they're very engaged, Kim Kardashian is not going to be a brand advocate for everybody. It does not matter that she's popular. You want to have somebody that has authority. And authority, which is the second rule, is someone that's talking on the topics that you're trying to reach, that you're trying to penetrate, you're already developing content around. Number 3 is to be influential. A person have to actively cover topics that matter to your audience. And this can expand a little bit out, but if they have the right people, the right engagement, the basic rule of influencer marketing is that going into it, the influencer should drive action. And I think this is where a lot of brands are failing. So if you're bringing an influencer, make sure you have very clear guidelines and have them do something that actually drives measurable results. So getting into measurable results, a lot of influencer marketing, this is kind of high level, middle, and lower level. But there are 4 data points which I find very important when I'm mapping this out with my clients and doing an event marketing strategy. So relevance is indicating how influential a person is to a specific topic or keyword that you provide. So think about, event marketing and thinking about content production and how fresh that content is. Resonance is showing how impactful they are with their audience. So it's showing the engagement. You're giving them content to amplify. Is it being shared? Is it driving clicks? Are you tracking it? Are you seeing a lift in your brand? Reach is taking consideration, again, the followers, fans, subscribers, visitors, and other metrics that already exist. And I think that helps with sourcing influencers. But again, that resonance is very important. And then audience, not surprisingly, this is just overall social audience size. So these are four very important data points to consider when you're mapping out your influencer strategy. On the left there in the image, there are different kind of metrics. You have the reach, the impressions, the engagement, click-throughs. Maybe you're using promotion codes or affiliate links, but these are just kind of high-level things to consider when you're building this out. And as you're building it out, things don't always go proper. So this is just a very high level when influencer marketing fails. So you have the person on the left who failed to edit the posts that the team had sent him. So you can see there, it says, here you go at 4 o'clock, right the below. And he posts that. And people ripped him apart. This is not authentic. This is not smart. This is not common sense. And on the right, I come from about 10 years in financial services. So be cognizant of any disclosures or agreements that you might need to follow if you're enacting a paid influencer model. Kim Kardashian got in a lot of trouble for sharing this post without properly disclosing FDA guidelines. So when in doubt, check internally about what you need to do and make sure that everyone's on the same page before you even get started here. So I'm going to share two case studies with you. The first is one of my clients, New York Institute of Technology, and we were tasked with kind of doing more on-site engagement. We had influencers and alumni that we wanted to activate through thought leadership in our live events. So we did a lot of live streams just to reach alumni. This was 3-4 years ago now. We did spotlights of influencers, which were impactful students, which were really active, as well as alumni who were very active. And then we did live events where we had, these very simple photo booths. Put your face in and smile for a chance to be featured on our social media platforms. In the middle was an influencer and alumni. And we had him come in and do a session with us, a thought leadership branded session, which tied into an event. But we built out after that event a more long-term strategy about how we can continue to keep the conversation going after the event. So if you're bringing in an influencer, think a little bit bigger about how you can leverage them before, during, and after what you're planning. And this is my favorite event I've ever done. So at CFA Institute, I ran the global social media team, and I was tasked with developing a way to develop content for my audience. So I said, well, we have a big annual conference. This is the perfect forum for my team to understand content preferences. So I actually build out a full-scale social media lounge in the middle of a financial services conference. You can see there, I actually had a social media powered vending machine. So you would tweet and it would dispense out a prize, and that was branded with our hashtag for our new brand campaign. Then we had analytics walls. So these people that are there had no social media because they were not allowed to by compliance. And so they were able to take a picture and showcase at a live event what topics were being, popular. And then we have, the hashtag was everywhere and anywhere, and people are incredibly incentivized to share information for a reward. So I would have people that would come into the event. This is press. They would come in, they would tweet, they would engage with us at the event. On the bottom right was 2 influencers that I sourced to come into the event and actually speak on social media and financial services. So we did Twitter chats, Facebook Lives, and Periscopes before the event. On site, we did a pre-conference session, and after the site, they stayed as press and actually were my guests, and they covered the event and they helped me amplify the hashtag. So it was very thought about who was coming and how they would help me elevate the hashtag at a live event. So kind of a before, during, and after consideration. So I want to leave you some tangible tips for how you can actually get started today. If you don't have multi-million-dollar budgets like most of us, very simply, if you want to find influencers, look at hashtags. Find out the hashtags that are relevant for the events that you're producing. Look at keyword searches. Every single social media platform has a search capability where you can actually go in and type. And then social media. I mean, everyone's on every platform talking about things. So find the people that are relevant. Look at your Twitter analytics if you're on Twitter and see who is the most popular influential person that's sharing content. Set a Google search for topics that matter and do some manual research if you need. And then, of course, conferences and industry events. Right now, there are no barriers about travel. Many of us are still at home, and it's a really good opportunity to break down the conversation and have that outreach to plan out for your fall or even next year. Find your influencers, approach them now because they're much easier to reach at home. So as you're finding your influencers, before you start the campaign, I gave you the 4 R's, the relevance, resonance, reach, and audience. Make sure that you know your goals of what you want before you start. Is it paid? Is it micro? Is it macro? Know the type of influencer campaign. Is it thought leadership? Is it having them come and moderating an event or running a live stream for your event to raise the hashtag? Or is it doing, sharing content after? Find influencers that are related to your specific industry and that share the reach of your audience, so that are actually going to drive action. Again, you want somebody that is going to end a result and have them do something. Understand the authority of their influencer. What channels can you leverage, and how can you pre-package content to help them make their lives easier? Can you send them links? Can you send them images for them to quickly share about your event and get the word out there? And then track your results and make a case as you go. You know, the beautiful thing about content is that it's all trackable on social media. And you can have an idea of how much reach or how many people are coming into an event from a code that you've embedded. Maybe it's through a link, or maybe it's, you know, a UTM code in content. So be really mindful of what you do before you start. So a couple different things that I love is this website called Influencer. And this is more, you know, B2C focused. But if you're looking for an idea of how other brands are doing this, you can go in, fill out your profile, link in all your social media platforms, and you can actually categorize what you want. So this is, I did a quick search of steak sauce because I was looking for steak sauce last week. And you can see real people and talking about what they liked. On the brand side, you can target people. So if you are an A1, if someone here is from A1, you can go on and actually deliver stuff, you can deliver messages, and you can have people amplify their own social media channels. But for those of you that are new to influencer marketing, it's a nice way to kind of dip your toe in and experience what it looks like. Follower Wonk is a great tool, and this is an analytics tool. This is specifically within Twitter, but you can go ahead and you can say I typed in digital marketing and finance, and it searches through their Twitter bios. And this is a great way. I've done this for conferences on things like facades, the sides of buildings. I've never had somebody that couldn't find somebody here to interact with. So for some of you that might be in very niche fields, this is a great tool to just segment through and start and find the conversation. Obviously, from here, you can take it offline. This is free with upgrade options as well. And then I love this website, Bizumo. So you can run a search and discover content ideas or conversations or influencers within keywords or hashtags, or put yourself in. And it just helps you kind of get started and get a sense of what influencers might be doing, or how you can leverage them, or how you can even find them and then amplify them. So again, that mapping of who you want and understanding exactly what the action you want is very important. So I will end with 5 ways to get influencers sharing your content. So I like to give tangible tips when I speak. So number 1, very simply mention them. So if you're on social and you're promoting your event, mention them, tag their company. Likely it'll come up in their feed, they'll tag, they'll interact. You can instruct them of how to do that. But again, it just captures their attention. So you can do some research, you can understand what topics they're talking about, and maybe create content, tag them in a post on Twitter, tag them on LinkedIn, let them know that they're on your radar, and interact with them before you're asking them to do anything. On the brand side, interact with the right people, and that will go a very long way. I'm a big fan of Twitter, if you haven't gotten it. So I'm a big fan of Twitter lists. And this is something, you know, you can see here, I was added to a list, but this is a really nice way to segment out Twitter. And I think many of us in events are still looking at Twitter as a consideration of a very big social platform. So this helps you kind of play up to the ego and interaction. They get a notification that you've added them. And it really helps kind of segment the conversation. So if you are looking to segment out, and you can do this privately or publicly. If you do it publicly, they get a notification. But I do this a lot for clients in terms of just segmenting the conversation or doing mapping initially. You can put them into these little lists, and then you have them there and it's done. So within events, anytime I did a live event, I always had a Twitter list of everyone that was going to be on site to interact with for me on site. You can ask them simply to contribute to your company blog, your event blog. Great content that you don't have to do. You don't have to write it. You're scratching their back by helping them amplify their reach, and it helps you build credibility. If you can have them post for you on your website, you must be doing something right. So again, that gets back to tagging them. If you're sharing content, and likely they're going to share that post with their network, and it also gives you a chance to reach a whole new audience. So by simply asking them to contribute or sending them a guest post, it really helps just build, you know, advocacy and visibility as well. And then I love this. So this was G2 Planet did an expert interview series with me, and it's so simple, but just think about interviewing the expert. It's a great way without having to actually sit there and write the content. So you can send 5 questions and you get responses, you edit it, and you have content. Or even think about doing this as a video, right? And you don't have to sit there and do the free form content. Do a video teasing out a session and have them come and just talk and curate it and do it live on your accounts. Human brain processes images 60,000 times quicker than text. And I talk a lot about visual content, but again, expert commentary or quotes or even that interview turned into visual. Take out a piece of content from a long form post and develop it into an image. If you're on site in an event, you have an influencer speaking, pull out a quote, overlay it, and make it come to life and add that expert commentary and collect content and collect quotes and bring it to life in a different method. I think we're all sensing a lot of digital fatigue. So people's attention spans, the attention span of a human is 8 seconds and then nine seconds for a goldfish. So we have no attention spans and you have to cut through the noise. So visuals, commentary, quotes go hand in hand with events and just capturing influencer engagement. I love Pablo by Buffer to do this. You can very simply go in, you can upload a stat, you can upload an image, you can overlay with whatever stat that you want. Influencers average over 22 posts a week. You can overlay your brand image, your hashtag. This is a very free, great tool to get started. And then again, within live events, bring them in. That's from the CFA Twitter chat that I did. Have them join you, crowdsource content, tag them on social media, and think about it as a 3-level: before, during, and after your event. How are you going to amplify these influencers to help your overall brand, again, before, during, and after? So these are 3 kind of quickie ways. And I leave you with my 3 rules for social media success. So be interesting. It's not going to work no matter what. Within influencer marketing, take chances, expand your share of voice, expand out what you're talking about. Look around and see what people are talking about, interact with them, and build them in and bring them in to amplify your brand on the influencer side. And then be experimental, have fun, try things. If you fail fast and move on. But remember, the basis of social media is that engagement should be key. So as you build in your influencer plan into your events, remember that influencers should drive action and they should do something tangible for your brand. So I strongly encourage you guys to dabble in this. It's not going anywhere. It's a field that's growing. That's my email. And I'm going to come off of here and go back to you, Heather. Maybe we can take a look at this poll.
Hi there. That was great. Super unbelievable information, Marissa. Thanks so much. But yeah, let's see the poll results. And then I think we actually have 3 to 4 questions in the from the audience, and I actually have 2 that I'd like to ask. But do we have the poll results?
We do. So the poll was: have you ever used a social media influencer, aka personality, to market your event? 42% said not considering it. 33% I'm planning to do it in the future, and 25% have done it. If you're wondering where the poll is to take part, it's on the streaming tab on the right-hand side, the little Slido widget. I would say only 12 people have answered, though. Marissa, here we go. This is what normally happens. They're all coming in. What would you say to people who are not considering it, the naysayers?
I think people don't know how to get started, and I hope I gave some tangible ideas. It doesn't have to be so concrete and paid. It could be much more organic or in the flow. So if you haven't done it, now is a great time to actually map it out for future planning. As 40% of you are thinking about doing it for the future, I think the event industry is one of the easier places to actually roll this in. And again, if I'm doing it in financial services, you guys can all roll it out in what you're doing here.
Yeah, you can kind of see it changing right there. Heather, what do you think?
Well, actually, one of my questions is, because this actually is a topic that I'm interested in, is what events have you seen successfully use a social media influencer to help them reach what I call untapped markets? It's a way to get in and build loyalty, trust in the brand if they don't know it because they trust the influencer.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I mean, I go back to my roots at BizBash. So I started in 2008 at BizBash, and I threw up a live Twitter feed years ago, and we had a social media lounge, and we would watch people come together, and we would see the ROI of instant people coming in, clicking a link, doing a promotion code, and I could track it. But also I could say, come and meet me at the social media lounge, and we would throw up a feed, and it was so instant and gratifying. And it was, we would have someone come in, and we were doing influencer marketing before this was a coined term, but we would have someone come in and moderate the conversation, I rolled this out in Future State of doing like one-to-one brand experts and trainings and trackings. And many companies now are rolling this out in their live events. But I think, the events that are doing it well are, bringing in people with reach to speak, to engage, but also having them on site to facilitate a specific conversation. I think when it's done clear by an event and you have, the objectives mapped out, that's where it's done right.
Yep. Cost-wise, in terms of like, if I were an event right now and I wanted to engage a social media influencer, what should I be budgeting?
I mean, I think you can do it very cheaply, even freely. Maybe pay someone to map it out for you and come up with that. But you can have them either, a lot of these influencers within speaking fees. If you're doing a virtual event, it could cost you nothing. If you're flying in a speaker and covering their costs and you're having them come in that sense, then whatever you would normally be budgeting. I'm a big fan of having people come and do the organic side. I think influencer marketing, I dare to say it's a bubble. And at some point, I think it's like the cupcake bubble. When is this going to burst? But I think influencers will be here. People are very impactful, but the brands that can captivate it with a long-term connection to Amplify are the ones that are going to succeed. And any investment they make will be happy long-term.
We've got quite a few audience questions, which we don't really have time for, but will you be on the platform for a little while if people do want to connect with you? I'm going to ask you one. So, people are asking, are some social platforms better for certain KPIs? So would you look at Twitter versus Instagram for different clients? Would you think about Clubhouse, which is we've been talking about a lot on this show? What kind of things should we be thinking about?
So there's no one size fits all social media platform for everybody. You have to look at your analytics and you have to understand your objectives. So what is already driving traffic for you? What can we do to already enhance what's working within, the company that you work in? It depends if you're B2B or B2C. It's going to vary based on conversations of demographics that you're trying to reach. So there is no one answer to this question, but I think look at your analytics and your audience and see where you're getting that traction and build from there.
Well, on that note, Marissa, absolutely fascinating to understand more about influencer marketing. We've got to push on, but for anybody who wants to talk to you, you'll be on the platform and all your contact details are there as well. Thanks very much, Heather, to you as well. So the next session, we are moving on to the roundtables. If you're slightly confused about where to find the roundtables, don't worry, I've got you covered. So over on the left-hand side of Brella, you'll find the roundtable section. We've got several. So you can talk to Feather about building digital sponsorship. You can talk to Brella, which is the platform we're on right now. If you want to talk to us at event.video, you can ask us anything, hopefully just about virtual and hybrid AV, but we're open to any questions. H2K Partners, the revenue room, so that's Heather and her organization. You can head over there and talk about the commercial side of running events and new ideas about sales. And then Ingo are talking about building communities in the community room. These are limited to 50 people. So if there's one you really want to go to, I suggest you head there now. They start in 2 minutes. But that's the end of this session. We will be back after the roundtables to talk about content and how it can transform your business. So this is a great presentation from Joe Paluzzi from the Content Marketing Institute. But for now, go and join the roundtable.